Right, hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar. So we're going to be discussing FourJaw version 2.1, which is our next generation of productivity improvement software. Now, having seen a couple of you filter in and seen the attendee list, I know we've got quite a few familiar faces, so either existing FourJaw customers or people who've been involved so far. So just to start with a thanks for taking the time to come and support FourJaw and learn about FourJaw release version 2.1. Now, we also have some people who are probably a bit newer to FourJaw, which is great. You're very welcome. We're excited to have you here. And you're in the right place because hopefully by the end of the webinar, you'll understand who we are as a business, what we do, and exactly how it can actually help manufacturers. So without further ado, let's get on with the agenda. So the first thing I need to do is introduce myself. So I'm Robin Hartley-Willows. I'm the co-founder and CTO here at FourJaw. And I'm going to be kicking off the agenda with an introduction to FourJaw as a business. So just a quick recap of who we are. I'll then go on to what is FourJaw 2.1. So this release that we're talking about today, why have we done it? What does it mean? I'll get into that detail. And then for the juicy bit, I'll be sharing my screen and taking you through a full product demo. So after that, I'll be handing over to our senior product manager, Hannah Melia. Now, Hannah joined our team last year, and she brings with her a wealth of expertise and knowledge in making brilliant products, which is what we're trying to do here. And she's also got a lot of experience in manufacturing too. So she's going to be a really valuable person to hear from. And what Hannah's going to be telling us is about the FourJaw roadmap. So what's next? What can you expect in the the coming development of the FourJaw product? And then we're going to finish with a Q&A. So together, Hannah and I will be able to answer any questions which you may have. Now, the mechanism we're going to use for that is the Microsoft Teams Q&A. So if you look at the top of the screen, there is a Q&A button. And what you can do is if any questions come up throughout the webinar, either specifically about FourJaw 2.1, or even if it's just generally about FourJaw as a business, that's absolutely fine. Stick those questions in that Q&A tab, and we'll accumulate them throughout the webinar and then answer them at the end. So we'd really encourage, there's nothing wrong with putting a question in there if it pops into your mind. Okay, so why are we here? This is why we're here as a business, as FourJaw, and that is because of a core belief. So we believe that productive manufacturing elevates lives, communities, and society. We've said it before, we'll say it again. I don't think it's controversial, and hopefully a lot of the people in this webinar that will really resonate with them, but I also don't think it's celebrated enough. So we really wanted to call it out and make it a key part of our business. Now, because of that, we've got a mission. As FourJaw, we intend to deliver technology that's really accessible and which empowers every manufacturer, regardless of shape or size, to achieve their productivity potential. So that's what we're all about. Now, there has to be a reason for this. Productivity is really important. And we know that because manufacturers, the main thing when they're investing to improve productivity. And we saw that in a recent Make UK survey, where 74% of the manufacturers said that actually improving productivity is the main thing they're looking for when they're doing investments. Now, 70% also said that return on investment is really important. So not only are we trying to invest to improve productivity, we're trying to do it in a smart way, which gives us a financial return on investment, which all makes sense. Now, I think a lot of people might think about buying new equipment, buying new machinery, potentially going out and hiring new staff, which can be, a time-consuming process. But we believe that you can actually just use the equipment you've got more effectively, and that can be a much more effective investment. And the way that works is in downtime. So Forbes have identified something which probably everyone in this webinar knows, which is that unplanned downtime has a massive impact on a factory's productivity and its profitability. I'm not sure we needed Forbes to say that, but it is absolutely true. And so if we resolve some of that downtime, it'll improve the productivity of our machines without having to go out and buy any more equipment or invest in anything else. It's just using the assets we've already got, but in a more intelligent way. Now, it also goes without saying that that affects the financials too. Downtime's not cheap. Downtime isn't cheap. So in an automotive scenario, for example, $22,000 a minute that a production line stops. Now, I appreciate for a lot of manufacturers here today, it won't be quite that expensive, but it still rings true that if we can get our downtime reduced, if we can make better use of the equipment we've got, we become more productive and more profitable, which is what we're all about facilitating. Okay, so practically, how do we actually do this? I'd like to just do a quick recap of our technology and how it works. So there's two elements, really. The first is the machine link. So the machine link is a small little device, and you fit one on every machine you've got. And it has two little clip-on sensors, which you can see in this video here. And they clip around wires in your machine's electrical cabinet, and they monitor the electrical current draw of that machine. Now, what we do is we then process that data to understand when the machine's being productive and when it's not. Now, and we could present all that to you. Now, the thing which is great about this is every machine draws power. So it doesn't matter the age, size, or brand of the machine. If it draws power, we can tell you what it's doing, which is really powerful. There's no integration with control systems or anything like that. It's only requiring a 3-pin plug and a Wi-Fi connection, and that's all you're going to need to get your machine hooked up. So we have a machine link for each of your individual machines. Next, we have a tablet. So the tablet, you've got one per machine again, and this is designed to help the machine operator really be engaged in the continuous improvement process. So they can see the live productivity of their machine. They can label reasons for downtime, as we just saw in that little video there. So when a downtime starts, we know, and we pop up and we can say, would you like to add a label to that? So we can understand what is causing stoppages for that machine operator and improve that so that we all get more productive. And you can also see what job you're on as well. So if you book onto a job, you can see how far through it you are. And that's really useful for just understanding, where am I at? Am I running productively? And if not, what do I need to do about it? So those are the two elements. We've got the machine link, which tells us what the machine's doing, and the tablet, which involves the operator and helps them input information where it's needed. So all of those, if you think about, you've got all your different machines there, they send data up to the FourJaw cloud platform. And we do all sorts of clever data analytics on it, but all you need to worry about is the online web dashboard, which we present, which you can see sort of to the right here. It's really, you can just access it in a browser, on your phone, anywhere you like, and see exactly what's happening in your factory. And you can do that under these following categories. So the first thing is full production visibility. So at the machine level, the cell or factory level, the cell or line level, or at the factory level, you can get minute by minute visibility of your production in real time, yes, but also throughout the day shift, the night shift, and as far back as you want. You can see the actual utilization rates of your machinery. You can see what your capacity is to actually get work through. And you can also express that as overall equipment effectiveness, or OEE, which is a really important production metric for telling you overall how productive are my machines. So you can get either of those metrics, whichever you resonate with the most, you can get that on FourJaw. We also have these quantified downtime reasons. So we saw that the tablet allows us to input specific downtime reasons when there is a stoppage on the machine. We can then gather all of that information into a business case. If we solve this downtime reason, it'll save us this many hours of downtime, which will allow us to get through this much more work. And so you can really focus your continuous improvement resources to resolve that downtime and become more productive. So the next up is the work booking information. So using the tablet, you can say what job you're on, say the work order and the operation, which allows us to record all of those things we've just spoken about, but on a per job basis. So you can then look back and go, you know, did I hit the times that I expected on that work order? When I do this part, what are the major downtime reasons? And that all feeds into our advanced reporting. So we've got a full reporting system in the FourJaw dashboard. And what you can do is prepare reports, you can run them, make it really easy to get the information you want, get in there, run the report and crack on with your day. And the final element is the real-time alerts. So it's great knowing what's happening in the past, but actually knowing what's happening now is also really powerful. So you can set up alerts on your machines. If they say go into a downtime for more than 5 minutes and that downtime is due to inspection, then we can send an email to say your inspection manager or someone in your inspection department so they can resolve that downtime and get that machine running as soon as possible. So that's broad overview of FourJaw. So if you've got any questions arising from that, feel free to get in that Q&A and pop a question in there. But otherwise, I'm going to be moving on to specifically FourJaw 2.1, which is the version we're about to release. It's worth saying that FourJaw version 2.1 is going to be released to all of our Pro subscription customers, and we're going to be releasing it this Friday. So probably come Monday morning, you'll see it pop up on your dashboard with these new features, and they will be in your hands. So keep an eye out for that. So what do we want to achieve? Why have we done this? We had 3 key considerations, and they are all around shop floor staff and machine operators. The first of these is involvement. We know that involving your shop floor staff is absolutely essential to continuous improvement and therefore required for productivity improvements. I think a lot of the time that the shop floor don't maybe have the level of visibility they may like or may require to really partake in improvements. And so we'd like to resolve that in FourJaw 2.1. The second word is empowerment. So we want to make sure that machine operators have got the support, the information, and the equipment / tools / technology to be productive. If they don't have those, we want to make sure that we can get them to them as quickly as possible. And that means they have everything they need to be productive in the moment. And the final one is communication. I think all of us can think of times where poor communication has led to poor productivity on a shop floor. And so we would like to resolve this because we see that communication underpins the whole continuous improvement process. And it makes it both important to the financials of the business, so the bottom line, but also the culture on the shop floor and making sure that people feel involved and satisfied with the work they're doing. So that's what we're planning on achieving, and you'll be analogy to get this across. And the analogy comes from F1. So if you think about a driver in their car, choose your best team, your favorite driver, only they can go around the racetrack and get the performance out of that car. But that doesn't mean that they're on their own. They've got this sort of triangle of support underneath them there to facilitate and enable them to do a great race, which will include, your race engineers is the first line, your pit crew, your strategists, those who design, manufacture and maintain the car, and the team leadership, your team principals. All of them are there in this sort of high performing team organized to support the race driver, who's a person trying to get the most out of their machine, which is the car. Now, we see exactly the same in manufacturing. End of the day, there's no one who can improve productivity and get productivity out of the machine other than the machine operator. And so they sit very much at the top of this triangle. And underneath them are all the people who facilitate and support that productivity. So we've got, it might be maintenance and inspection staff and those running the stores, and maybe those doing your tool paths and your CAD CAM. You then got your team leads, your planning and scheduling, production management, senior leaders. What we want to do is make it really easy to create this organization where machine operators can request the support and easily get it so they can, like a race driver, get the most out of their machine. Okay, now I think it was either October or November last year, we did another webinar in which I promised a load of stuff. And so what I'm going to go through is go through each of the things we promised and tick off whether we've actually delivered them in FourJaw version 2.1. So the first of these was real-time communication. So as a machine operator, if I hit a problem and I can't resolve it myself, I want to quickly and easily request support from someone else by a message. So I want to be able to send a message to them, stay at my machine and get the help I need coming to me whilst I continue to remain productive. And that's all about real-time communication and an operator being able to send a message. The second part is to make sure that the operator has a top-notch experience with the tablet. And to do that, we've actually completely re-engineered the technology that we use to present the tablet to you, particularly for low Wi-Fi environments where it might be dropping in and out of connectivity. We want to make sure that your machine operators have still got a really functional user interface, which fulfills the the things which are important to them. We also, as part of that, want this activity feed. So if I'm a machine operator and I'm running lots of different machines, it might be very hard to keep in my mind what each of those machines is doing and where it's going to be next. So we want to create this activity feed, which is like a captain's log of what has happened on that machine minute by minute. So that if I come back to a machine after 45 minutes, I just look at that activity log and I know exactly what's happened and what action I need to take next. The next thing is top-down communication. So this is, as a manager, if I have an important message that I want to get out onto the shop floor, I want to be able to send that message really easily, and I want to make sure that it's reached its intended recipients, so that I can make sure that any information which is important for production gets to the people who are running the machines. And the final one is the new OEE capabilities. So overall equipment effectiveness is combined from three things: the availability of your machines. So are they in a state where they can actually run, or are they broken or poorly calibrated or something else like that? If they are available, are they actually performing? So are they running productively and producing components? And if they are, the final bit is, are those quality components, or actually are we producing scrap? So we combine those three elements all together into a single number called OEE. And if that number is 100, then that is the best you can possibly be. And like 80% is considered world class. But any of those, if you have a drop in quality, performance, or availability, that'll start subtracting from that OEE. So it's a great number to have. Okay, that's what we promised. Here's what we've delivered. So we'll go through each one very quickly. The messaging, I'm about to show you in a minute. We've got full messaging capabilities in the app, where a tablet can request support and send a message out to managers, support staff, or whoever is relevant. We've got a completely re-engineered and redesigned operator tablet, which we're really excited about and I hope you love, and you'll see that in just a moment. That tablet includes a new activity log, which is going to give you flashing things when you need to do something and a minute-by-minute log. So you'll see that again in a second. The top-down communication goes both ways. So we've got the ability for the tablet to send a message, but also vice versa. And you can create chats a bit like you would in WhatsApp or Facebook and send one message to a whole chat. And the final thing is the OEE capabilities, which we've built into our dashboard. They're going to be available to all of our existing Pro customers, and it's going to work with every machine just like the rest of FourJaw does. So we're very excited to demo that to you. So just to finish off, exactly what we're trying to give to your teams, that enhanced operator experience is going to make visibility of production part of their day-to-day, and that's going to be really important. We're going to have that real-time communication to unite the shop floor and your managers or your office staff with a really slick line of communication, and we're going to give you full visibility at the machine, cell or line, and factory levels, so that you can know exactly whether what you're doing is having an impact or not. Okay. So now is time for the demo. So what I'm going to do is switch over to our operator tablet interface. So this is exactly what you'd see as a machine operator if you were stood in front of a machine looking at the tablet for that particular machine. So this one is paired to the Doosan 1000M, and so this is just showing the information just for that. And just to reiterate, the things that we're trying to deliver to a machine operator is to really involve them in productivity improvements. So give them the information they need. We want to empower them to get the support, get the equipment that they need to be productive. And we want to make sure that those lines of communication are open for them. So those are three things we're really trying to hit when we were designing this. And like I said, you can be the judge of whether we've done it or not. So to talk you through this, just in a little bit of detail, we're going to start with that central productivity dial. So this is showing us the live status of our machine. So we can see for the last 2 minutes and 20 seconds, we've been in a productive downtime state because we've been programming the machine. Now that's going to tell us, that's going to update in real time so that we can always see at a glance, potentially across the shop floor, exactly the state of our machine. Now you can see that there's other times throughout there. So these are all color coded. So we can see that the blue time that we're currently in, that is productive downtime. So that's downtime where the machine has stopped. It's not running, but we still need to actually do that downtime. So one example would be setting up. We simply can't make a part without setting up the machine. So it is part of the productive path to make components, but it does involve machine stoppage. So we have labeled that as productive downtime. We've got the green time, which is uptime. That's when the machine's running. And we've got unproductive downtime, which is red, which is a downtime which doesn't contribute to making components. It's just simply not particularly useful and we'd like to get rid of it. So, wow, we've got those, as we can see, over the last 60 minutes. And I can see that because I've got this little tab at the top highlighted for the last 60 minutes. So I can see from 13:22 an hour ago to 14:22, I've got a full log of what's gone on. And I can actually go back in time and really see that. So I can see that actually I had an unproductive downtime for 5 minutes where I was waiting for a job pack. So the machine wasn't able to run because for whatever reason, the job pack hadn't got there. This is going to be great for facilitating conversation around, well, what can we do about that to make sure that doesn't happen again? How could those 5 minutes have been spent in a productive state rather than in an unproductive state waiting for a job pack? Before that, we had to do a teardown. In this case, it's being classified as unproductive. You might say that it's productive, and that would be depending on how you classify it. But again, another downtime reason. And we can hop through these. We can see we changed tooling, had changeovers, and an inspection. So that full traceability of what's gone on. Now, we can also change what time we're looking at. So let's say I'm in the day shift and I want to see how is the day shift going? What's the mood of the day shift? I can click here and I can see that the day shift started at 8 o'clock and it's going through till 4 o'clock, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through now. And the overall OEE of this shift so far on my machine is 35.5%. So that might be really, really good. I might be absolutely smashing it. Or it might be not particularly good. Now, one way I can find this out is maybe comparing. So what I can actually do is I'm in the day shift currently and I'm looking at that day shift. Let's see what the night shift did. I can click here and it's going to show me precisely what happened on the night shift. And I can see for whatever reason, I'm doing triple the productivity of the night shifts. So I can take a bit of pride in that. That might spur a little bit of competition, but I can also go back and see, well, what's the story around that? There was some tooling. There's a break where the machine wasn't running, nothing wrong with the break, but maybe we could have had the machine running in that time. Setups and things like that. And actually, we only had 47 minutes of uptime, whereas so far this shift, I've been on 2 hours. So I can be pretty pleased with that. But that involves me in that productivity, and I know exactly what's going on in that tight feedback loop. Okay, so the next element is this activity feed, which you'll have seen, or this activity log, which you'll see on the right-hand side. So this tells us key things we need to know about. So we've got job starts and ends. So when we've booked on or booked off a job, we've got messages which have come through from, let's say, management staff or office staff, and we've got downtime reasons as well. So I can see that, for example, at 14:19, I started a particularly cryptically titled work order. And before that, at 14:18, I had a programming downtime. Now, if I wanted, I could come in, I could click that downtime and I could change it. Let's say if actually at that particular period of time, there was not an operator available, or let's say I was working, let's say operator unavailable, I can label that. That's now going to help with root cause analysis because we've understood that this machine could have been running had there been an operator. So maybe we need to rejig our schedule, or maybe it's actually we need more people in the team so that this machine can run productively. Now, when you actually need to do something, it'll flash at you. And what I've got here is an example of a message which has come through from the office. And if I click this, I can see, so this is in milling section chat. So this message will have gone to all the machines in the milling section. And it's saying, please move over onto this work order, because actually the one I'm currently on has been held up. So maybe the job pack isn't ready for the next stop. Or there might be some other problem. For example, I might not be able to get a crane to lift it off. So it said, please, can you start maybe setting up for the next work order? This is great because had I not had that information, I may have continued with this job when it's not the right thing to do and it would compromise our production schedule. What I can do actually is then reply. So I can go, okay, no problem, moving over. I send that back and the office staff now know that we're going to be making the right things and I'm going to move over onto the correct job. So really, really good. Speaking of jobs, you can also see your, I guess, live work order you run, which job, and also how far through you are. So this is another important part of that communication is how long should this job take? How far through it are we? And are we, likely to meet the times that we're expected to? So if you don't have that in front of you, it can be really easy to maybe lose track of time or not see which job's a priority. But because we've got that job estimated time and percentage completion in front of us, we can know exactly where we're up to. Okay, so that's probably a really good overview of this dashboard. I don't want to go through too many buttons, The final thing to say is that there's a whole set of actions behind this in another sort of little page where you can come in, you can job on and off, you can message your team. So if I wanted to start a brand new message, I could just click down here. I could pair to a different machine, and I can also come in and say view my job list. So let's say I could see my current work order I'm on is in progress, but I could also come in and see what other jobs are queued up for me today, and I can pick one and start working on it. Okay, so that is our brand new operator tablet interface. If you've got questions about that, you're welcome to put them in the chat. And if you would like more detail about it, there's nothing wrong with getting in touch with us after this webinar. So what I'm going to do now is flick over to the other part of the FourJaw app. So this is going to be the part that you'd see as someone working in the office or maybe someone in management, whereas the bit before was for machine operators using a tablet. This is for office staff who are on a desktop computer typically. And what I'm going to do is the first thing I'll see is we'll just do a quick refresh there is we'll notice that I've got a message has popped up. So if I hop into there, I'll be able to see that message which has just come through from the tablet. So I originally said, please can you move over? I've said, and they've said, no problem, moving over. Great. I know it's taken care of and I can get on with my day without needing to worry about that too much anymore. And if you want, we've got loads of other chats that exactly like I said, WhatsApp does or Facebook does. You can have different chats with different combinations of users and machines to make sure that you're always getting the right people involved in the conversation. Okay, so that's our messaging. On to the final bit of the demo, which is about overall equipment effectiveness. So you'll see here on the main dashboard, we've got this trend of OEE, and we're looking at it for our Sheffield factory. So I can see over the last 31 days, this is like a rolling 31 days. Sorry, no, it's not. It's from last month. So there we go. I can see day by day exactly what my OEE is. So on a good day in green, I can see I've got up to 22% OEE in this factory. And on a bad day, which is sort of in red, I'm down at sort of 11%. And I can also see that I'm generally trending around 13% on average in that grey trend line. Now, let's say I want to dig deeper. I can actually break this down into the different components of OEE. So let's say I want to know, is it that my machines are just never available? Well, I can answer that question by clicking here, and I get the availability on a day-by-day basis. So I can see on a good day, we're nearly 90% availability. So for only 10% of the time are our machines in a state where they're not available to run. Maybe due to unplanned maintenance, it might be scheduled maintenance, or it might be that they, for example, have got bad coolant, miscalibrated. It could be a whole range of things. And on a say a bad day, we're down at 70%. Okay, let's look at our performance. So if our machines are available most of the time, when they are available, are they actually performing? And here we see the story is very different. Whereas at sort of 70, 80, 90% availability, here on a good day for performance, we're at 25%. So that's a really big finger pointing towards what we should do with our continuous improvement resources is we should probably go after performance because this is a much bigger factor for our productivity than availability. You can also actually do quality as well. So what we do is by default, assume you're at 100% quality, and only when there is the exceptional quality problem, you can tell FourJaw about that quality problem and we'll notch that down from your OEE. So this makes it that we're not entering every time we make a part. We're only saying on the few exceptions where we do have scraps, let's get that in here. And we can see most of the time it's towards 100, but there was a particular day, 9th of December, where actually we were only at 80% quality. So maybe there was a particular issue with the machine on that day. Okay, so we identified that quality is good, availability is good, performance we should probably look into more. What do we do now? That's where we come down to our Pareto. So this gives us ranked numbers of ranked reasons of downtimes, starting with the biggest contributor and then going down. And I can now filter this, and I'm going to say, give me the top 5 downtime reasons which are affecting the performance of my machines. So that OEE performance I want to know about. And here we can see, all right, the big one is inspection. So 30% of all my downtime is coming from waiting for inspection, followed by not having operators available. So that says to me that there might be some stuff we can do in scheduling to make sure that we have the inspection resources needed, and also making sure that we've got the correct people to run the machines. It might also be that we need to revisit, do we inspect every part, or do we only inspect maybe every second part? And just trying that out, we might get everything out the door with the right quality and actually reduce that inspection downtime and boost our OEE. So it really helps to understand, okay, I know where my problem is and I know what to go and do about it as well. All right, so the final element is that's everything historic. So we can see our OEE, in the past, fantastic. But what if I want to know my OEE in real time? Well, that's where this live dashboard comes in. A lot of people put it up in their factory and they can see exactly, the performance of each machine. This shows us the last 60 minutes as well as the real-time state of each machine. Now, before I was on the Doosan 1000M, that was the tablet, was sort of paired to that machine. And I can see that's currently in the last hour at 19% OEE. It's currently in an idle state because we haven't got an operator and it's booked onto a job as well. So that OEE is available not only historically, but also in real time on your live stream here as well. Okay, so that is the demo complete. So if you've got any questions about that, like I said, feel free to chuck them in the Q&A. So I will move back to my presentation. And the next thing to do is to hand over to Hannah, who's going to talk us through the product roadmap. So I'll mute and let Hannah take the next stage of the webinar now.
Great. Thank you very much, Robin. And it's always so exciting to let what we've been working so hard on out into the wild and see what people make of it. So what I'd like to tell you about is what we're going to do next. So my job as a product manager is to understand what you need to increase productivity at your factory and to make sure that we're working hard on that. In March, we will be delivering energy monitoring. So this has come up from both our customers and also people calling us and asking for it. And also it's pretty obvious that the electricity prices are sky high and being able to monitor that is important. So from March, you'll be able to use the FourJaw equipment and web app to look at a display that gives you a trend of energy consumption over time. You'll be able to benchmark the energy used on your machines, and you'll be alerted when machines are left on out of shift. After that, we're working on the cost of downtime. So when your machines are not running, you still have overhead costs, not least the electricity bill. And those overhead costs are accruing. And what we want to be able to do is to show you how much a downtime is costing you so that you can quickly and easily make business cases for the investment that you need in order to improve productivity. And then the last thing on here is downtime over time. So Robin just showed you the downtime Pareto, and you were able to see which kind of downtime was having the most problems. And then you might go on to think of some kind of corrective action that you want to put in place. The next step after that is to see whether or not that's having any effect. So we want to be able to give you a report that shows whether or not that amount of downtime for that particular reason is going up or down over time. After that, it's really up to you. I am all ears to hear what you need to improve productivity in your factories. There's 3 ways that you can do that. So the first is right now, you can think about the biggest issue that you've got in your factory or the biggest improvement that you think we could do in the FourJaw platform. And you can write 1 sentence for me into the Q&A. The second way that you can help is I will be sending out a survey to everybody to get them to not only give feedback on the 2.1 developments to see how we've done there and what we can improve, but also more generally, what's the key issues for you? How can we help? And then lastly, I'm going to be visiting lots of our customers to do interviews. And if you have the time to give me an hour of your time, I would really, really appreciate it. And I'll sit down with you and I'll understand, you know, what are the most important things that you need us to be doing. So just to wrap up before Q&A, a reiteration of the help that you can get from us. So most of you will have had some kind of interaction with Oliver. Oliver has a history of working in manufacturing. He's a great guy. If you need help figuring out how we license the software, or perhaps introducing it to a sister factory that you've got, or rolling it out across your whole factory, you know, get in touch with Oliver and he can help. Then in terms of support and customer success. So Chris joined us basically at the same time as me back in September. Chris started off in manufacturing in 2008 as an apprentice, and he worked his way up to head of operations before joining FourJaw. So he really understands the ins and outs of manufacturing and is a great guy to get support from. He's joined by Richard, who also has experience of manufacturing, and they will help people get their systems set up and onboarded, make sure that you're getting everything that you need from the system. And then lastly, there's me. So my job is to try and understand you guys and what you need, and to put a plan together so that we can make that happen. So if you've got any ideas, please do feel free to contact me.
And yeah, the final thing to say is just thank you very much, everyone, for turning up, for taking the time out of no doubt what's a very busy days to come and show your support and interest in FourJaw. I really hope that you've learned about FourJaw 2.1. You're excited for it. And if you're new to FourJaw and what we do, maybe you've got some context and background there as well, which is great.
Yeah, and we're going to be sending an email following up from this with a copy of the presentation for you. In there, it also has links to our website where you can find blogs, you can find case studies that are really interesting, and also access to the knowledge base, which is a system of articles that we've recently updated, and it has information in there with tips to get started and sort of power user tips as well in there. So well worth having a look.
Fantastic. Great. Okay, well, it goes without saying, you know, if you want to follow up and get in touch with us to find out about anything you've seen in more detail, that's what we're here for. And other than that, we'll wish you a good day, and thanks once again for coming along. Cheers now.